Hello, I'm Will, this is Mike with the Tabletop Donkeys.
Hello.
And in this video we're going to be returning to the Age of Sigmar Mortal Realms collection and looking at ways of expanding the two armies that we got with that magazine, the Stormcast Eternals and the Nighthaunt, what was already in those collections, what sort of things you might want to add, and how we have expanded our own collections that you would have seen in our series. So as a quick recap, Mortal Realms magazine was the first Partworks magazine for Warhammer Age of Sigmar, which came with an army for the Stormcast Eternals and for the Nighthaunt factions, and there's a complete series on that magazine that we did. And in this video we're just going to be talking about ways in which you might want to expand those armies, and actually how we have expanded the armies. Since Mortal Realms magazine finished, both of these armies came with pretty good army for both factions, although there were a couple of gaps that we talked about at the time, so we'll discuss that a little bit more. Both also have slightly different situations, where the Stormcast Eternals range is enormous, whereas the Nighthaunt range, we basically got almost all of it with the collection for the magazine. But just before we start, a quick disclaimer that this isn't going to be a video about how to build a competitive army list or anything like that. This isn't what units to buy if you want to win games. It's more of a hobby article, how you might go about expanding these collections if that's what you want to do. So we'll start off talking about the Stormcast. As I said, they do have a huge range, so there's plenty you could add. Almost too much to talk about, to be honest, as we wouldn't be able to go through every unit and talk about all of them. And the Stormcast is a range that's such that the units kind of do what they look like they're going to do, so you can very easily go through their range, pick some models that you like the look of, and they'll probably do what they look like they're supposed to do. It's a very easy range for a collector in that sense. There's no complicated interactions or anything for the most part. It just does what it says on the tin, as it were. I think the collection did come with a good range of everything, a decent number of different units with different roles. It came with quite a lot of characters. I think we got pretty much one of a good number of the different characters that were available at the time.
Yeah, I guess there's a bit of redundancy. I mean, we've already seen that Castigators and Judicators kind of do the same thing, and the new Thunderstrike units have Vigilors as well. If I was building a Stormcast army, I'd probably pick like Sacrosanct or Thunderstrike or the original set and then just collect one of those, or some of the heavy cavalry, like the Dracoth Riders, I believe they were called. But you can mix and match however you want.
Yeah, ultimately, it's one of those ranges that's so big you can just kind of pick something you like and go with that.
Yeah, I suppose probably the first thing you probably want to do is round out any units that technically aren't a legal unit, so that's things like the Retributors. So I think we got 3 with the magazine, but they come in units of 5, and I think they're only sold in 5, so try and track down an extra 2. Not sure if the Thunderstrike Brotherhood set is still on sale. If that's still available, you can get 3 from that and have a unit of 5 then. And that will also come with more Liberators if you were going down that route.
The Evocators on Dracolines actually is another unit that is not a legal one. You need 3, I think there are only 2, so another box of those. I mean, 5 isn't quite a full-size unit anyway, but...
I mean, to be honest, you could probably just proxy the Lord Arcanum on Dracoline as the prime of the Evocator unit.
Yeah, and I think we actually even talked about that when we got that model, is that it was a little bit weird that they were telling us to make that model. Cavalry is something that we did find were a bit lacking in the Mortal Realms collection, certainly fast units for the Stormcast anyway. Personally, I quite like the Vanguard stuff, so I think if it was me, I would get some more of the Vanguard. They have some cavalry that come with them as well, but also some of the Vanguard Hunter infantry, for example. But yeah, in general, some more mobility, I feel like would expand the collection quite well.
Or possibly even more logically is Stormbringer, if you want to get more models for a decent price. So pretty much the only way I've expanded the Stormcast is through Stormbringer, which is getting more Thunderstrike stuff. I really like all the Thunderstrike stuff, so I'd probably just go down more that route to expand it further.
There have been plenty of new Stormcast released since Mortal Realms finished, and you get a decent chunk of it with the Stormbringer magazine. So if you're already subscribed to that, then you'll already be getting those. But at the time of filming, we've just done our first collection overview for the first 20 issues, so you can see the Stormcast that you get with that. Also, since the magazine finished, there have been some fairly good centerpiece models released as well, like the Stormdrake Guard that I do get 2 of in Stormbringer magazine, so it'd be good to get them added to this collection eventually. And also, I think if you're a premium subscriber to Stormbringer, then you actually get Krondis, one of the huge dragons that you can actually build as Karazai, I think is the other one, for a great saving on that. So actually, if you really want a really big centerpiece, you get that. There's also the much older Lord Celestant on Stardrake as well, another huge model that would add some significant bulk to the force.
And obviously you should also buy the Battle Tome for whatever army army you're collecting as well.
Yeah, there's been a new battle tome, which I think does fix a lot of the issues we identified with the Stormcast rules in general.
I don't actually have the battle tome, but having had a flick through it, I don't think any of the units we got in the collection have had their roles changed dramatically. A lot of things got streamlined as well a bit as well.
Basically, there are just so many options. If you're a Stormcast fan, then you can't go wrong with anything, I don't think, really.
And I mean, at the end of the day, if you like the look of a unit, you can just buy it. Age of Sigmar's not really as strict in terms of what units and heroes you take together, so you can probably make do with whatever you want, really.
Yeah, so I think the Stormcast, honestly, you can just go with whatever you want. That will be fine. The Nighthaunt, on the other hand, we pretty much got the entire Nighthaunt range with Mortal Realms magazine. One thing we didn't get, as we talked about, was the Black Coach. We got Mortis Engine instead, which is still not actually a Nighthaunt model. The only other thing I think that was released during the magazine for the Nighthaunt was the Cruel's Cruciator. But other than that, we got everything that was out at the time.
Yeah, so I have played the Nighthaunt a bit in Path to Glory, which is a very casual system. I would say they're a lot more fun to play in 3rd edition just due to their new rules. I would say with the Nighthaunt now that they are very good for someone who was learning the rules, because a lot of their units now have Movement 8, 4+ Unrendable Save, Bravery 10.
They will have an army-wide ward now, don't they? You don't have to be near a hero anymore. Yeah. The new rules do identify and fix quite a few of the issues that we found.
You're less super reliant on characters, although you still want those characters for their aura buff. I'd say they're still a very fragile army, but the new Wave of Terror rule is really flavourful as well, where you get bonuses for charging. So it's a very glass cannon kind of army where you need to wipe out enemies. Like the Stormcast, most of their units have basically the same roles. I think the only unit that has changed role is the Spirit Hosts, where they're more sort of tanky. I think they can absorb damage that other Nighthaunt units take. And Glaive Ray Stalkers now have their own niche amongst all the Nighthaunt infantry as well. Oh, and Dreadblade Harrows as well got a good bonus, where they can get you a free command ability whenever your general uses one. Yeah, it's just some of the weaker characters are now more useful. But as to expand it, the Nighthaunt range isn't nearly as big as the Stormcast, but there's no redundant units. I think they all fit their own niche.
Yeah, I think you either be someone who likes the Nighthaunt or you don't. It's not like the Stormcast where there's so much variety that you can kind of have your own flavour of the army. You either have a Nighthaunt army or you don't. The thing we identified with Mortal Realms is that they just needed more of the same, because you already had all of the characters and all of the infantry, you just needed more infantry. 10-man units of chain rasps don't really cut it.
Yeah, Bladegeist Revenants are already pretty good, and they're still pretty good. Dreadside Harridans as well. You've already got 2 Dreadblades, that's probably enough. Though I think the only unit that was weirdly sized was the Grimghast Reapers. I believe they come in a unit size of 10. I'm not really sure what you could do about that, because we only got 9 with 2 Extollers, so it's very odd sizes. Possibly you could convert a Glaive Wraith, or just add a Glaive Wraith to the unit and say he's a Grimghast Reaper as well. So you could have 10 Grimghasts and 8 Glaive Wraiths, so it would actually be illegal units. But you can't really go wrong with anything. War Chain Rasps, more Bladegeist, more Dread Scythes. But other units, so you mentioned the Cruelghast Cruciator. I've actually added a Cruelghast Cruciator. Still don't have a Black Coach. Cruelghast Cruciator has an aura of reducing incoming damage. And also the Craven Throne Guard, another unit that came out that I've added. Add some ranged firepower that the Nighthaunt didn't have. Filling a role they didn't have. It's not super long ranged or devastating, but it's nice to have. I've added a Scriptor Mortis. I haven't tried him out in game because he seems a bit more like a novelty than anything to base your strategy around, because his gimmick is that you pick an enemy unit or hero and then you roll a dice at the start of each battle round, and if you roll equal to or less than the battle round, that unit takes 2d6 mortal wounds. It doesn't seem too consistent, and I think there are other characters you'd rather have first.
You've added another unit of Bladegeist Revenants.
Yeah, and they come in units of 10, so I've got 2 10-man units of them. So there was also another character called Alrak the Drowner, who I believe can basically teleport units around. It makes an already fairly mobile army even more mobile. I haven't added him yet. I suppose if you wanted an even bigger centrepiece, well, if you want a big centrepiece, I suppose the Black Coach is the logical one. But you could always go with Nagash, the god of the undead. Very expensive model to field and to buy. I wouldn't necessarily advocate getting him, but if you wanted to have a nice centrepiece, that would be the good one. Yeah, and again, I believe there is a Vanguard Nighthaunt. I can't remember exactly what it comes with, but that has more stuff. And there have been a couple of battle forces for the Nighthaunt, so if you can get a hold of those, that's a good way to just add more things for a reasonable price.
And I think they've just announced a new Underworld's Warband of Nighthaunt as well, so that could be a nice painting project. But anyway, I think that probably covers just about everything there is to say about it. But do let us know if you have more thoughts in the comments below. If you collected the Mortal Realms collections, then let us know if you've made any additions to them afterwards, or if there's anything you would do if you wanted to, or have got any plans for them. Let us know if you'd like to see more of these collections on the channel as well. Always a possibility that some of the old forces might come back for a game every now and then. But we've been the Tabletop Donkeys, and we'll see you in the next one.
Bye for now.